I'm finishing this paragraph, 24 and 25. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. So here is where we know for certain that this passage isn't just using we and us language to really only emphasize individualistic Christianity, right? Just with a bunch of individuals. Because instead of that, notice the clear emphasis here is on how we're to stir up one another, to be loving people, trying to do good works, or to encourage one another, all until Jesus comes back. That's that idea of the day there. And practically though, how are we to do that? What does it say? Well, we're to meet together. Meet together. And we're to make it a habit of meeting together, all until Jesus comes back. In some ways, it's that simple. And really, that there is one of the main verses in the Bible that shows us that in order for all of what we're talking about to happen, in order for us to draw near to God and hold fast to our confession and hear what the Lord says and love and do good works, we must do this together. We must meet with one another and not neglect that, as the Bible even says that some people, some Christians, are prone to try to do. And now, when do we meet like that? And here's the important part for probably most of us in this room. Because often, what happens is that we Christians read this verse about not neglecting to meet together, that's what it says, and immediately we just think of the Sunday morning worship service. And on the one hand, there's some goodness to that. There is, because we should read this and we should think of habitually, regularly attending our local church's body, Lord's Day, Sunday morning worship service. All right, we should do that. We need to do that as God's people. We should worship the Lord regularly with our other local brothers and sisters in our local church family. And yet, notice, verse 25 here doesn't specifically say, don't neglect to go to church. And in fact, that statement couldn't ever, I think, actually be written at the time of the New Testament because it doesn't actually make sense. And we've talked about this already in the last couple of months, because you don't go to church. Instead, you and me, us together, we are a local church. Because remember, the word church in Greek is just a word meaning people assembled, people gathered. And so instead of saying don't neglect to go to church, notice this verse just says, as those saved by Jesus in the gospel, what has God told us to do? Well, we're to make a habit of regularly getting together, meeting together. That's literally what the verse says. In your life, and in this paragraph so far, in your life, and you're drawing near to God, and you're hearing of God's promises, and you're stirring up and encouraging one another to love and good works. Get together. Do it together. And do it like that until Jesus comes back. And again, that's kind of a part of biblical Christianity, with our cultural emphasis on individualism and our cultural emphasis of defining church as the Sunday service, that we can often miss. Because again, just to make it clear, again, notice this verse does not say only to do that on Sundays or only to do that through a Sunday worship service. Instead, the goal is to regularly, habitually meet together and do all this together. Let us.